Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about NPCs and how NPCs affect your everyday life without you even knowing. What are NPCs? NPCs are non-playable characters. They are popular and necessary in video games and real life. Why do I say that? Because there are always programs running all over the world that control and influence how people think and how people behave. From religion to politics to school, all those are programs that control how you behave. From media to governments that control how you think, your perceptions, and how you behave. All these are programs, especially religions. So we're going to dive a little deeper into the NPCs in video games and NPCs in real life. And you're going to see the correlation. You're going to see the NPCs are people that operate in real life, in society. And they control a lot of the way you perceive yourself and you perceive the world. Because they are plugged directly into the programming, guys. So let's take a look real quick. And as you can see it with this image right here, NPCs come in all colors, genders, nationalities. And you can be fooled by an NPC because they can, nowadays especially, they can present themselves as a male, they may be a female. They can present themselves as a female, they may be a male. See, so if you are in the matrix and you're plugged into the matrix, you will easily be deceived by an NPC. And you go home with a woman, what looks like a woman, what you thought was a woman, could be a man. That's why understanding the dynamics and the dangers of NPCs are so important. Because these people are running programs to deceive you, to trick you in different aspects of your life. Just like we talk about with some of the Catholic priests, some of the Boy Scouts, some of the swim coaches, all these innocent men looking so innocent, looking so pure and righteous. But behind closed doors, these NPCs are molesting little boys and molesting little girls. That's what I'm saying when I talk about NPC and the deception and the dangers of NPCs in our society. And how these people are programmed. And they're running programs of destruction and manipulation. See? And I'm going to show you how even in the video games, these NPCs are programs that's controlled by artificial intelligence. And their choices are based off decisions. The choices that they make are based off the decisions that you make. That's why your decision has to be more calculated than theirs. Because theirs directly is related to yours. See? So guys, let's take a look at NPCs. Give me 1 second. Okay guys, let's read definitively what NPCs are. Here we go. In video games, NPCs, non-player characters, are characters controlled by the game's artificial intelligence rather than the player. They can have a variety of roles and characteristics that make them good or bad. from both gameplay and narrative perspective. Let's look at some of the qualities of a good NPC. Companions and allies. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to read some of it just so we can get an understanding on the impact NPCs play in video games and how you can see these same characteristics in everyday life and people, relationships, co-workers, the working environment, on the battlefield, guys, in real life. Okay, let's read. Companions and allies. These NPCs assist the player in achieving their goals, often providing support in combat, offering useful information, or completing tasks. Next, quest givers. These characters provide the player with objectives and missions, helping to drive the story forward and offering rewards. Merchants and traders. These NPCs sell items, weapons, armor, and other useful resources to the player. See, guys, you see how when you go out in life, you have NPCs out here that's selling you food, selling you weapons, selling you ideas, and other useful resources as a player in this world. Let's continue. They are essential for character progression and equipment upgrades. See, guys, that's why you got to get the downloads, because there's equipment, there are things that you need out here in this world to survive, and there are NPCs out there providing these things, but you have to know what you're doing. Let's continue, guys. Informants. These NPCs provide the player with valuable information, hints, and lore that enhance the game's narrative and help solving puzzles. That's what I'm saying, guys. These are good NPCs. Now let's look at some bad NPCs. Bad NPCs. Enemies. These NPCs oppose the player, providing challenges and obstacles. They can range from common foes to major antagonists. See, guys, so this can be anybody. This can be a family member. This can be government officials. This can be co-workers. These people are NPCs because they are opposing you. They're providing challenges to you, and they become obstacles to you. Can you be your own NPC? Yes. If you're plugged into the matrix, you can be your own NPC, and you can be your own challenge. You can create your own challenges, and you can impose yourself. You can be your own enemy. That's why I say you have to unplug from the matrix in order to see this. Let's continue. Rivals. These NPCs compete directly with the player, often attempting to achieve the same goals, but through different means. Like a race car driver, like a race car. If you played, a Gran Turismo or any racing games, those other cars are NPCs, and they're trying to win. They're trying to achieve the same goal that you are. They're not trying to hurt you. They're not good or bad. They're just neutral. They're just trying to win. Let's continue, guys. Those are called rival NPCs. Traders. These NPCs initially appear to be allies or neutral characters, but later betray the player. See, guys? That's real life. Just like you have traders in the games, you have traders in real life. So you got to see how the programmers that program these games, they get their downloads, their information from the observation of real life human beings. And then they translate and write programs for games, but they base it off real life. Because real life is a matrix, it's a program. And they know that. The programmers know that the life that we're living in is always like a simulation. It's like a video game. So all they had to do was write the same program that we're using into a video game aspect. Let's continue. These NPCs initially appear to be allies or neutral characters, but later betray the player. Their actions add twists to the storyline. See, guys? And then in each one of these, they give examples of bad NPCs. They got one NPC, and let me see. Goombas in Super Mario. A bad NPC is in Gary Blue in the Pokemon series. And then you have Wheatley in Portal 2 and Fontaine in Bioshock. Okay, so let's look at some of the qualities of a good NPC design. Believability. Good NPCs have realistic behaviors, dialogue, and motivations, making them feel like genuine inhabitants of the game world. Engagement. They enhance the player's experience by being interesting, helpful, or challenging in a meaningful ways. Depth. Well-developed NPCs have backstories, personalities, and growth that contribute to the game's narrative and depth. See what I'm saying, guys? So even in the real world, they have good NPCs. They're very believable. They will convince you that their behaviors are realistic, but you really don't know if the people that you meet in real life are they an NPC or are they player one. You don't really know until you get to know them. And once you take their belief system and the things that they're trying to accomplish in life, then you can see that they are NPCs. You can tell. But you have to be able to observe the game. You got to be a player. You got to be a player. That way you can watch the game as you're playing it, so you can know so you can judge the behavior on the NPC. Because for the most part, the NPC is going to behave the same or similar with each interaction. Okay, guys? So, let's see. All right, so it says, good and bad NPCs are essential for creating a dynamic and engaging game world, each playing their part in enhancing the player's journey through the game, through life. See, good and bad NPCs are essential for creating a dynamic and engaging life, each playing their part in enhancing the player's journey through life. See, guys, so that's what I'm saying. So you really have to know that NPCs exist. You have to know that. They all have names, they have colors, they have characteristics, they have these qualities, these personalities. And you have to be able to identify the NPCs by their behavior. And if all of them are behaving similar or the same, they are NPCs. See, that's why you have standout individuals in society. That when everybody else go right, the player one, the real player, go left. All the NPCs go right, go left. All the NPCs go left, that one player go right. All the NPCs go up, the one go down. See? So that's why most people are NPCs. But you have these outliers. These so-called, these weird people, these strange people, these lone wolves. You have these people out here that are not programmed. And that is on purpose. Because if everybody was following the same program, the game would not develop. It wouldn't develop. If everybody's following the same program, in order for life, in order for societies to develop, to grow, there must be a group of players that are not programmed. So okay, guys, let's continue. Let's read a comment from somebody else who can define NPC, so you have a better understanding. This is what one guy said. I just Googled this. I will consider someone to be an NPC if they mindlessly follow their programming, subconscious motivation, without ever questioning it or trying to change. Many people just react to their feelings and justify their actions after the fact. Even many people in power act this way, such as megalomaniacs megalomaniacal dictators who obsessively work to gain power over others, just to compensate for their feelings and shame and inferiority stemming from their childhood. Someone who be a player character, which is the people who are conscious. Player characters are conscious of the game. They are observers. They are watching the game. That's a player character. They are aware of their feelings, but they don't automatically react to them. They would have to be capable of introspection and have the ability to make choices that contradict their programmed emotional reactions. They would need to be able to question all of life's programming. These are playable characters. NPCs are non-playable characters. Okay? Let me start. They would need to be able to question all of life's programming and wouldn't believe in the illusions of society. They also wouldn't believe in the illusion of freedom and the illusion of choice. Guys, remember, the choices that you make are not yours. They are the choices that were given to you. So you don't have all of the information. The choices that you make are only the choices that you see. This they call the illusion of choice. Okay? Let's continue. It says, but I doubt anyone is 100% self-aware. We are all controlled by some type of programming, but we aren't aware of it. So I would say that it's more of a spectrum that a person being completely one or the other. See, so he got a point there. So we all are programmed in some form or fashion. My goal in my life is to break the programming, and that's what I want you to do. You got to break out of the programming, and in order to break out of the programming, you're going to hurt some feelings. You're going to hurt your own self psychologically. Because it's going to be painful to start thinking for yourself. See? So in a lot of the traditions, a lot of the cultural norms, a lot of things that you're going to have to break away from. And it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very painful to reject those things that you have been taught to choose. See what I'm saying? When I say the choices that you make are not your own, because you've been programmed to make those choices. Let me say that again. The choices that you make are not your own because you have been programmed to make those choices. Those traditions, those ceremonies, those are not your choices. So let's continue, guys. Hold on one second. Okay, guys, let's look at from a religious aspect. And let's look at some of the NPCs from a religious aspect. And I'm going to break down and show you how NPCs have always operated in society. The programs have always been there. Let's continue, guys.
Matthew 27. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they...
Now, this video is talking about the execution of Jesus. And I'm going to show you how the NPCs in the Bible, how these NPCs... Hold on, guys. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I'm going to show you how the NPCs in the Bible, the New Testament, of course, I don't have time or the knowledge to go through all of the NPCs in the Bible. But I just want to show you a specific area of the Bible where the NPCs were programmed to operate a certain way. So I may speed this up a little bit so it won't drag out as long. It's 8 minutes long. So just give me time, guys. Let's continue. I may cut in and to show you the role that the NPCs are playing. I may cut in to show you how in real life, even if you believe in the Bible, even if you don't believe in the Bible, you can still see the role that the NPCs play in society, and the things that happen to people, like John F. Kennedy, like Harriet Tubman, like Martin Luther King, like Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln. You can go throughout history and see these NPCs and the actions and the things that took place that changed the dynamics of the future. Past events that changed the dynamics of the future. Even Adolf Hitler, he was an NPC. See, so you got to see this, for what it is. Let's continue, guys.
They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. "I have sinned," he said.
Okay, guys, I had to rewind it. So we're going to start on Matthew 26. Just be patient with me, guys. Just be patient. This is the truth. I'm telling you, if you listen to this and you listen to my narration, you're going to see for yourself that the NPCs exist in there everywhere. Just got to be patient. I put it on 1.25 so it can go a little bit faster. And then I may slow it down to interject some commentary to show you the NPC. Let's go.
A woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which he poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold at a high price, and the money given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly I tell you, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He replied, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, 'The teacher says, my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly, I tell you, one of you will..."
Listen carefully. He about to make a prediction about an NPC. Let's go.
"Betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely, you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It will be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on, until that day when I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus told them, "This very night you will all fall away on account of me, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered.' But after I've risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter replied, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will." "Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "this very night before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times.
See, Peter was his most loyal follower, and he told Jesus that he would never leave him. Jesus rebuked him and said that you are going to deny me 3 times. Because he knew that Peter was an NPC. Let's continue.
But Peter declared, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the other disciples said the same. Then Jesus...
All the disciples said the same thing. They would follow Jesus, that they would not disown him. But they didn't realize that they were NPCs. They were programmed to play this game. See? And when you think about it, guys, and even in life, certain things have to happen. Like, we would not be here. Like, for example, guys, I'm an African American. I would not be in this country if slavery didn't happen. And there's a lot of you guys that are immigrants. You're from other countries. You wouldn't be in this country if certain things didn't happen in your country. If your parents would not have made certain decisions, you wouldn't be here. So you got to understand that certain things had to take place in order for the situation that we live in right now to exist. Certain people had to live, certain people had to die, guys. That's just the way it is. It had to happen. That's why going back and looking at the past and say, I wish this wouldn't happen, I wish that wouldn't happen in the past. And anything that would have changed in the past, you wouldn't be here hearing my voice. You wouldn't be here fulfilling the opportunities that exist right now. So the only thing you can do is be grateful for today, show gratitude for today, and prepare for the future according to the past. That's all you can do, guys. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever's going to be is going to be. Let's continue.
Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him." Going at once to Jesus.
That's talking about Judas. Talking about Judas. He said, "Here come my betrayer." And he said, "The one that I kiss, that is the one." Now, all these people, remind you, that's come to arrest them, they knew Jesus personally. They had had food with him. They had drank with him. They had prayed together. So they knew who he was. Listen to what he says.
Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say, it must happen in this way?"
It must happen.
In that hour, Jesus said to the crowd, "Am I leading a rebellion, that you've come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled.
All of them, see?
Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin.
See, even Peter kind of backed off. Peter said, I will stay with you until the end. Peter backed off. He was looking at a distance. He's like, oh, wait a minute now. This thing getting serious. Let's continue.
Were looking for false evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death, but they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, 2 came forward and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Then the high priest stood up and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God, tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said so," Jesus replied. "But I say to all of you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" "He is worthy of death," they answered. Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him.
These religious people, these are religious people, religious leaders. They spit on them and they slapped them. Okay, guys? I just want to show you the hypocrisy here and the role that the NPCs play in everyday life. You can't trust them, no matter what position they hold. Let's continue.
And said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you?" Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied it before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said.
He denied Jesus.
Then he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath. "I don't know the man."
He denied it twice.
After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses and swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and wept bitterly. Matthew 27. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. "I have sinned," he said, "for I have betrayed innocent blood." "What is that to us?" they replied. "That's your responsibility." So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself.
See? After the NPC Judas, the betrayer, he's the traitor. The same what we was talking about in the games. You got these traitors even in a video game. In real life, it is identical. Once Judas betrayed Jesus, he went and killed himself. That was it. The game was over. See? The game was over for Judas, so he had to make a decision. And that was it. Let's continue.
The chief priests picked up the coins and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money." So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. That is why it has been called the field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and they used them to buy the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message, "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed.
See? So they chose Barabbas, which was a killer. They chose to release him and keep Jesus. Let's continue.
"Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him!" When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him.
See, even the soldiers and the government were in this together. The soldiers and the church. That's the government and the church. They were in this together to kill Jesus for nothing at all. Totally innocent. That's why telling the truth is a revolutionary act, guys. You speaking the truth, you're speaking against the matrix. You're speaking against the system. And the system hates to be exposed. Let's continue.
Forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink, mixed with gall. But after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him. "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You, who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women were there, watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea, named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. The next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise again. So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he has been raised from the dead. This last...
See? So they even set guards outside of his burial site to make sure that he was not resurrected. Let's continue.
Last deception will be worse than the first. Take a guard, Pilate answered. Go make the tomb as secure as you know how. So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting the guard.
Okay, guys, let's go to the next one. Talking about how humans are are just as robotic as NPCs in the video games. So like I was showing you in the story of Jesus, how the NPCs were all the disciples, Peter and Judas, that betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. And then he went and killed himself. And then Peter denied Jesus 3 times. All the disciples left Jesus by himself. All 12 of them. That's what I'm saying, guys. Even in real life, when you think all your friends, your family, your buddies, all have your back, all of them will leave you alone with your killers, with your enemies at the most precious time, when you need them the most. That's what an NPC will do to you. So that's why I'm saying you got to unplug from the matrix and rely on the universe to protect you and to give you the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding to make the next moves in your life. Because every move you make, even your interaction with an NPC, every move you make will dictate your future choices. The decision that you make today will dictate your future choices. See? So there are situations in your life right now where you can't decide your future choices because they won't be made available to you because of the decision that you're making today. So if you see a future for yourself and you want those choices to be made available for you in the future, you have to make the right choice today. Let's continue, guys. So let's look at some of the similarities of humans and NPCs in video games. Conformity. Individuals might conform to social norms or expectations without questioning them, similar to how NPCs adhere to their programming. This can result in behavior that lacks originality or independent thought, following orders. In hierarchical structures, such as in the military or certain workplaces, individuals might act on orders without personal input or deviation, resembling NPCs on their executing commands. Limited interaction and depth. Surface level interactions in large social settings or with acquaintances, people might engage in small talk or polite conversation without delving deeper. Role-specific behavior. When fulfilling specific roles, individuals might exhibit behavior constrained to their roles' expectations. All right, guys, let's go down a little bit more. Examples and implications of work environments. In repetitive jobs, employees might perform tasks with minimum variations or engagement, similar to NPCs performing set routines. Social interactions. At large gatherings, people might stick to basic repetitive conversations, such as like NPCs with limited interaction trees. We're going to talk about interaction trees in 1 second. Psychological states. During times of stress or burnout, individuals might go through motions without full awareness or presence, appearing NPC-like in their actions. Okay, guys, let's look at interaction trees. Interaction trees, also known as dialogue trees or conversation trees, are structures used in video games, interactive fiction, and other narrative-driven media to manage and present branching dialogues between players and NPCs. See, they allow for dynamic and branching conversations where the player's choices can lead to different responses and outcomes. See, so it's the choice that you make that open up for different responses and different outcomes. So let's take a look real quick. Nodes. These are individual points in the conversation, typically presenting a piece of dialogue or an action. Each node can be a statement, question, or response from either the player or the NPC. Branches. These are the connections between nodes. Each branch represents a possible response or choice that leads to another node in the tree. Roots and leaves. The root is the starting point of the interaction tree, usually an initial greeting or question from the NPC. Leaves are the endpoints of the tree, which might be conclusion of the conversation or actions resulting from it. Examples and features. Branching choices. Players are often presented with multiple choices at each node. For example, the NPC, how can I help you today? Choices. I need information about the town. Do you have any quests for me? Just passing by, thanks. See? So those were the choices of the player. Conditional branches. Some branches might only be available based on prior actions. Player stats or items, for example. See what I'm saying? So as a player, your future choices may only be based on previous actions. NPC. I have a special task, but it's only for experienced adventurers. Choices available if the player has high experience. See? So guys, everything is not for everybody. You want these goals and dreams and stuff in life, but your prior choices might make your prior decisions might make those future choices unavailable to you. Because the prior decision that you made, the DUI that you made, the violent interaction that you made, see, the crime that you committed, the speeding ticket that you got. See, all these prior decisions, all these things that happened to you in the past, that's going to affect the available choices in your future. So that's why the decision that you make today, they have to be calculated. And you have to think about the decision that you make today. And they have to be conscious. If you make an unconscious decision, whether be it DUI, be it a crime, be it speeding, running a red light, whatever it is, if you make an unconscious decision, it's going to affect your future choices, even when they're conscious. That's why the quicker you gain consciousness, the quicker you wake up, the quicker you realize that you're being an NPC, the better decision that you can make today. The decisions that you can make today of not getting married, decisions that you can make today about not having children, decisions you can make today by not working a 9 to 5 until you hurt yourself. So by the time you work a 9 to 5 and you injure yourself or you get sick by eating bad food, then it's going to affect the future choices that you want to make. You might want to go hiking when you're 75 years old. You might want to do something in your future, but the decision that you make today is going to affect your health to do those future activities. That's why the sooner you wake up and gain consciousness about your eating habit, about smoking, about drinking, about relationships, about the behavior that you're doing today, the choices that you may have in the future, you'll have more choices available to you, made available to you. All right, guys, let's continue. Consequences and outcomes. Different branches can lead to various outcomes, influencing the game's story, players' relationship with NPCs, or availability of quests and items. See? Certain things are not going to be, certain items, certain quests, certain missions, certain choices are not going to be available to you. And you're going to wonder why. Because of the past decision that you made. That's why these future choices are not even available to you. You won't even see them. They won't even come up in your game, in your life. And you're going to wonder, well, how this person living this life over here and I can't live it? See, guys, let's continue. Let's see. Narrative, tools, game development, scripture, scripting language. Okay, hold on, guys. Yeah, like I said before, guys, even cars can be non-playable characters in a video game. It says NPCs or non-player characters traditionally refer to entities in a game that interact with the player but are not controlled by them. However, the concept can be extended to include other non-human elements like cars, houses, animals, and buildings, depending on their role and their behavior within the game. Here's how these elements can function similarly to NPCs: traffic systems. In open world games like Grand Theft Auto or Watch Dogs, cars behave autonomously within the traffic systems, following rules, responding to signals, and interacting with the player. See, like stopping and honking. Missions and quests. Certain cars might have specific roles in the mission, like being a part of the chase sequence or a vehicle the player must steal or protect. See, guys? So that's what I'm saying. You got to be fully aware of your entire environment because everything is alive around you. Hold on, guys. Okay, guys, I had to turn my on. Because everything is alive around you. You got to understand that. That's why you can't let your home, your house, your job, you can't let all these things, your watches, your shoes, your purses, your clothes, you can't let these things manipulate you. Because even those decisions that you make, when you buy a house, when you buy a car, when you buy jewelry, even those decisions that you make are going to affect your future choices. See, this is all about the available choices that you see. And the decision that you make today will affect whether you see 3 choices or 50 choices. Let me say it again. The decision that you make today, whether you're going to take the red pill or the blue pill, whether you're going to be conscious or unconscious, will affect the choices that you see in the future. All the choices that you see are controlled by the program. But you can affect those choices that you see by that program allow you to see by the decision that you make today, which will open up more choices for you in the future. More opportunities, more relationships. The more languages you can speak physically, the more choices you'll have in the future. The more languages you can speak psychologically, mentally, metaphysically, the more choices you're going to have in the future. So that's why you have to unplug from the matrix. You got to deprogram and reprogram yourself. You got to get downloads from the universe and realize that NPCs are everywhere and your choices are not your choices. They are the choices that the matrix, the program, the systems allow you to see based on this decision that you make. That's what, when people say creating your reality, that's how you do it. Are you going to go left or are you going to turn right? Are you going up or down? It's that decision. If you turn left, it's going to take take you to a whole nother world if you turn left. If you turn right, you're going in a whole nother dimension if you turn right. See? So you got to decide. Are you going to turn left or are you going to turn right when you get to the intersection? because you're not 100% sure what is the totality of that decision is going to be in the future. That's why you got to be the best and the most educated guess that you can make. An educated guess, not a random guess. You have to be educated. That's why the meditating and down and connecting with the universe is so important. Let's continue, guys. Our animals, wildlife systems, companions, buildings and structures. In games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Far Cry, animals exhibit behaviors such as hunting, fleeing, or attacking. Companion. Some games feature animal companions that assist the player, provide utility, or enhance the narrative like Dogmeat or Fallout. Okay, guys, now let's get some key features of non-human NPCs. Autonomy. These elements operate independently by the player, following programmed behaviors and rules. Interactions. They can interact with the player in meaningful ways, whether through direct interaction, environmental influence, or contributing to the game's narrative. Role and gameplay. They play specific roles within the game, enhancing immersion, challenges, and depth, similar to traditional NPCs. See, guys, so that's what I'm saying, guys. So the more you understand your position in this world, in this life, the more you understand and realize that you have all types of NPCs. Good, bad, cars, houses, trees. You have all these interactions, and the decisions that you make according to those interactions, the NPC can assist you or the NPC can hurt you. And then you got NPCs that are competing with you. They're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to assist you, but they are competing with you for the same end goal. Okay, guys. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for this video. Let me see if there's anything else interesting in here. No, I don't see anything else interesting in here. I think that's it for this video. Hold on. Okay, guys. Let's look at Judas Iscariot betrayal of Jesus. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, is known for betraying Jesus to the authorities, which led to Jesus' arrest and eventual crucifixion. In the Christian narrative, Judas' betrayal is depicted as a necessary event that fulfills prophecy and sets the stage for the crucifixion. In this analogy, scripted role, Judas' role in the betrayal can be viewed as a scripted moment, NPC moment, much like an NPC in a game who has a specific function or a purpose in the story. Despite being a follower of Jesus, Judas' actions are portrayed as inevitable, fulfilling a larger divine plan. Impact on the narrative. Judas' betrayal is crucial to the story, leading directly to the arrest and the crucifixion of Jesus. This action drives the narrative forward, much like how NPCs' actions or decisions can trigger significant plot developments in a game or in life, guys. Predetermined events. According to Christian teachings, Jesus was aware that Judas would betray him, indicating that this event was foreseen and necessary within the larger narrative. This parallels how an NPC betrayal might be scripted into life to ensure certain plot points occur. Judas' betrayal and the subsequent events can be seen as an example of a critical, preordained action by an NPC within the grand narrative of the Christian faith, leading to profound consequences that shape the entire story. See, guys, that's what I'm saying. So things that happen in your life in the past, they were meant to be. It happened for a reason. It happened for a purpose. Peter's denial of Jesus is another significant event in Christian narrative that can be viewed through the lens of a scripted NPC action, crucial to the development of the story. Peter's denial of Jesus, Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, famously denied knowing Jesus 3 times on the night of Jesus' arrest, as Jesus had predicted during the Last Supper. This denial is significant because it highlights themes of fear, human weakness, and eventual redemption. In this analogy, scripted role, Peter's denial can be seen as a scripted event, much like an NPC in a game who is destined to make a specific choice or action that influences the story. Jesus even predicts Peter's denial, indicating that it was an expected part of the narrative. Narrative impact. Peter's denial is a pivotal moment that adds depth to his character, showing his vulnerability and fear in the face of danger. Despite his earlier claims of unwavering loyalty, Peter succumbs to fear, which is later contrasted with his eventual redemption and leadership in the early Christian church. This mirrors how an NPC actions can reveal character development and influence the story's emotional arc. Redemptive arc. After the resurrection, Peter's 3 affirmations of love for Jesus in the Gospel of John serve as a form of redemption for his earlier denials. This redemptive arc is a key element in Peter's story, showing how his scripted failure leads to personal growth and a redeemed commitment, much like how a player's interactions with an NPC can lead to different outcomes based on previous events. See, guys, you heard that? Let me read that part again. That was good. This redemptive arc is a key element in Peter's story, showing how his scripted failure, his failure was scripted, leads to personal growth and a renewed commitment, much like how a player's interactions with an NPC can lead to different outcomes. So that's why your interaction with NPC, you got to be careful with them, because they can lead to different outcomes based on previous events. So that's why it's so important for you to connect with the universe, so you can make the right decisions when you are dealing with people in general, be it a good NPC or a bad NPC. You can find yourself in a very dangerous situation or in a very good situation, guys. Let's continue. Peter's denial is a critical event in the Christian narrative, symbolizing the weakness of even the most devoted followers and setting the stage for themes of forgiveness and redemption. In the analogy of an NPC, Peter's denial is a necessary plot point that contributes to the deeper understanding of his character in the overall story. See, guys, that's what I'm saying. And I missed a part that I meant to go over. I'm gonna have to do it on another video, because this video over an hour long. But it's talking about scripted events, and I missed that part. Man, I can't believe I missed it. Let me see. Does it talk about it up here? Scripted event implication. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look at it another time. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video, guys. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for sticking in there with me. I know most people are not going to watch the whole thing, but I learned a lot about the roles that NPCs play in our everyday life and how important it is to understand the impacts of the decision that you make today, how they're going to affect you in the future. Okay, guys. That's it for this video, guys. It's been 1 hour and 4 minutes. Now, guys, remember to download and deploy your antivirus software, debug and unplug from the matrix. And guys, keep your life clean, keep your car clean, keep your mind clean, keep your diet clean, keep your home clean. Guys, drink plenty of spring water to flush out the toxin, the chemicals, and the poison that's in the food supply. You already been poisoned. You've been micro-poisoned every day. And since you're operating in your unconscious self, you also poison your children and your pets. Guys, until next time, go and conquer yourself. Peace.